Welcome to the Deal by Me podcast, where we ask guests to tell us your story. Hello there. This is Dr. James W. Smith, your host. We seek to transform lives by encouraging and inspiring. Someone encouraged and inspired this host, a former lawyer, gambler, inmate, and his life was transformed. The same can happen to you. So when you listen to any of the Deal by Me podcasts, please support this podcast with a donation or a monthly recurring amount for as little as $3. If you're viewing any of the podcasts on YouTube, please subscribe to the YouTube channel. To supporters of this podcast, we say thank you. Check out my encouraging, inspiring, and transforming books. I'm available for speaking engagements, in person and virtual seminars, so please contact me through my website, www.dealbyme.com. I have with me Yahne Sneed, and I may be pronouncing that first name incorrect, but she will correct me as she come on, who has encountered numerous trials in her life, each offering valuable lessons for her growth in wisdom and maturity. Her journey has been filled with challenges, but she has continually fought against the odds, emerging as a testament to resilience and strength. Amidst the struggles, Yahne recognized opportunities to make a positive impact. Her motto is, it's not what they tell you, it's what you tell yourself. What an awesome guest we have today. And I'm thrilled to have her come on and share with listeners of this podcast. Uh, Jan, did I pronounce that name wrong? Please correct it for me, please.
It's Yahne.
Yahne, all right. Yahne, we got it now. Yahne, share with listeners to this podcast a little bit about yourself and where you've been interviewed from.
Yeah. So a little bit about me. Like you read in my bio, I didn't have it easy in life, and during those challenges of being abused or being emotionally and mentally abused, I had lost my identity along the way and my purpose, which I found once I got into college. I did a lot of mentoring, and what I found during that time is that my pain, the things that I went through, I was helping others overcome what they had to go through and their obstacles, which I finally found my purpose towards that time. And although it was a great moment for me, I still was struggling with my identity, but I found it once I graduated. And in 2022, I started a business called Relentless Phoenix, which is a coaching business turned into a keynote speaking business to help others get from where they are to where they want to be. And it's been a great journey so far with helping individuals by using my pain or the things that I went through to help them get to the other side.
Wow. I want you to know, Yane, got you now, uh, that I've read your profile and very, very interesting, intriguing, inspiring, and you are the perfect guest that I believe listeners of this podcast can truly appreciate. I want to ask you a couple of things, questions that I think will be uh, germane to what listeners will be interested in, and as how does emotional resilience help one in dealing with adversities or challenges in their lives? Because there are many listeners of this podcast who I know uh, deal with these kinds of challenges. So, from your own experience, talking about resilience, share how it helps in dealing with adversity.
Yeah, so life is never easy, and then we have a lot of challenges along the way. And sometimes depending on how difficult those challenges is and the foundation that you was brought up with, some of those challenges can definitely feel like it's defeating you and you start spiraling into depression or anxiety or just feel like you're lost and that your challenges is winning you and you're not overcoming your challenges. Where emotional resilience play in is that you keep the fight going, you never give up, and you can and believe that you can make it regardless of what you're facing, and never deny what you are, and you are purposeful. You have intention. You have meaning in life, and resilience is one of those ways that keep you focused on an end game, and that's finding where you belong in this world. And
Hmm.
by having emotional resilience, not only is a external thing about facing your challenges, but it's also internally helping you grow because you're looking at all the obstacles that you've been through. So therefore, a next obstacle that comes along, or a next challenge that comes along, or a next adversity that comes along, your emotional resilience internally is telling you that you can face it because you have faced many things before.
Oh, wow. Wow. That is very, very powerful. I'm struck, I'll be honest with your a life story. It speaks to me. As a matter of fact, it's very, very compelling. Uh, what are some of the misconceptions about emotional resilience in the face of adversity? And we're talking about adversity because obviously you've gone through it. You 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 do coaching, I assume, uh, talking to others about it. So could you share a little bit about these common misconceptions?
Yeah, one misconception is that it's easy to have emotional resilience. And we think that when we go through obstacles, especially when everyone looks at me, they're like, "You're smiling. How can you smile when you've been facing something?" It's not easy for me to smile, but the
Mhm.
alternative is worse than me not smiling.
Okay.
I can allow my environment to play into who I am, how I see the world. But when you have emotional resilience, it takes a lot of energy to believe in that moment that you're going to be okay. It takes a
Okay.
lot of energy to do that. And individuals, when they look at me, they're like, "Wow, you really." Like if you say you're astonished, and it's like
Mm.
I appreciate it. It makes me humble because it's not easy. And since I'm making it so easy, that's just one of the ways that confirms to me that the things that I have gone through, it was for me to go through it to get to the other side to show that the pain that you have to go through to get to the other side is worth it because I can smile. You're gonna be
Mm.
okay. So to understand that it's not easy, but it's a necessity for you to survive because if you don't, who knows? I have certain cases and clients who, didn't come to coaching because they felt like that life wasn't worth living because of so much stuff that they had to go through.
Mhm.
So it's not easy to pick yourself up and keep on going. That's one of the major misconceptions that it's not easy, but you need it. You need to go through those things to survive, to learn, and to grow.
Mm. Wow. What you you're saying it, and I hope listeners of this podcast are getting it because it's so very powerful what you're saying. You mentioned a lot in your profile, and I take it, uh, about self-love and what steps, you've taken. So I want to ask you, can you define it, self-love, and what steps do you take to practice it in your daily life? Because if you can show how you do it, then others might be able to pick up on that, and especially listeners of this podcast.
Yeah, self-love. Self-love to me is being okay with your authentic self. And
Mm.
sometimes we don't like to be flawed. And what I do in my own life is give myself grace to understand that I'm human, that I'm going to make mistakes, that others are humans as well, and they're going to make mistakes towards me. So I have to love myself to know that no one's perfect and everyone needs forgiveness. And the word I'm using is need, because in order for me to love myself, I have to forgive myself. I need to forgive myself, because if I keep being hard on myself on every mistake that I make, I'm not going to grow from it, because I'm being chained to that mistake. The past is not here, the future is not here. You only have this moment. So we have to be kind to ourselves. We have to fill ourselves up with self love to say, hey,
Mm,
that was my best moment, but I'm going to learn from it. I'm going to grow from it and do better. And next time something happens like this, I will know what to do next time, because I'm more in tune with myself to understand that it was a mistake, and not harbor on it every day like it happened yesterday and it probably happened 5 years ago. You
mm,
have to let that stuff go and be in the moment and just say, I'm going to love myself through it, and give yourself grace. I think the issue is we want to be perfect, and there's no such thing. I think it's oxymoron to believe that our human has to be perfect, and that's one of the things I had to learn a lot, because I was hard on myself when I was younger. But I got to a point where I looked around me and I'm like, no one has it together. So I have to come off myself. I can't be my worst enemy. I have to be my best friend, because when I'm alone, it's all I have. So I have to
mm.
love myself through all of it.
Wow. Wow. What what a powerful statement. That sounds like empowerment. Sounds like you are there, or you have empowered yourself. So I don't need to even try to talk about that uh anymore, because I felt it in that statement. But and you have exhibited a certain spiritual makeup, or or at least shown in your talk that you have faith in yourself. And this to me is is a spiritual concept. So how does that play a role in your life? And what practices do you use to connect with your spirituality?
Yeah, so throughout my life, I had many moments of a spiritual awakening. But it was I had a lot of distractions. I came from a religious background, and it was hard for me to follow that religious path because of the things that was said in the Bible. I kind of misinterpreted, and I was hard on myself a lot about doing the wrong thing, and how God's going to be angry with me and I can't make mistakes. I was pretty hard on myself. But when I started my spiritual journey, that transition for me was very eye opening, because it relaxed me, because I suffer from anxiety. So to be so you got to be perfect all the time, otherwise you're going to go down there. It filled me with a lot of anxiety. So my spiritual journey, it was more, don't tune in externally, tune in internally, because then that would help me grow as a human, which was needed for me to grow as a human. I meditate. I talk to myself, and I know individuals have a negative connotation to that, but it does help when you talk out loud and you repeat things out loud to yourself. Sometimes you can hear how crazy it sounds. And that's what I had to do. I had to challenge some of my thought process, and I got to that moment because of my spirituality. I had to really challenge how I saw the world, how I saw myself, how I see the individuals in my life and how they played in my life. So my spirituality definitely helped me to tune into myself more, to meditate more, to relax my mind more, so I can see the way I need to be seen when I look into the mirror versus hating myself or disliking myself. So my spirituality plays a major role and that grace that I was talking about. Because in spirituality, when your chakras are all lined up and you're meditating, you feel something come over you. And it's a really all moment, utopia moment. I don't know if I can't really put the word to it,
Mhm,
but for
mhm,
me, I when I started in being in tune with myself, that's when everything changed for me, and I see the world differently. And that's why I'm not hard on myself anymore, because I can recognize that we all one and we all on here for a purpose, a reason, a season, a moment, and we just have to be in a moment to experience it.
Mm, mm. Oh, I don't know what to say talking to you. You have such powerful story, and the way you present it is just awesome. Uh, I I'm just amazed. I'm astonished. You obviously have a
Thank you.
purpose. You found your life purpose. You've discovered it. And so I want you to tell listeners, you know, how did you do this? How did you discover your life purpose? And what steps did you take, you know, in pursuing it? And I think I'm hearing it, but I want to make sure the listeners get it.
Yeah. So, when I was in college, was the first start of me really a little bit before college, but college was definitely the start, of me recognizing the connection to what I went through when I was younger, and what that played in my purpose. And when in college, it was rough because there wasn't a lot of hands-on experience with me when it comes to keeping me focused. In high school, I had my mom that kept me focused, but in college, you're by yourself. So I had to really pull my own weight and pushing myself through. And I found my purpose one moment because I was gonna drop out of college, honestly. And this
Mm-hmm.
one moment, because I was studying, I it was a lot of I'm not really good at in education, really. I'm gonna have to like repeat myself over and over again and read this one paragraph like 5 to 10 minutes and keep on doing it over and over again. But it was a lot and it was overwhelming. One moment in college, I heard a voice in my head and it said,
Mm-hmm.
"You're doing it." And I repeated back to myself, and it scared me. I was like, "What? What?" And I repeated back to myself. I'm like, I am doing it. And then it
Mm-hmm.
clicked. I was like, wait a minute, I am doing it. Like I had a lot of people, a lot of humans in my life that turned their backs on me. My sperm donor who abused me, he said I wasn't going to graduate high school or college, and that I took that with me all the way to college until that very moment. My third year in college, I graduated within 5 years, which I'm very happy about, especially with the things that I had to deal with.
Mm-hmm.
And that moment for me, it was like I am doing it, and I started thinking about everything that I have overcome on my own. No one pushed me out of bed. No one tells me I have to get up. I'm doing it on my own. I'm one foot in front of the other. I'm never giving up.
Mm-hmm.
And that was the key for me. Once I realized that the negative thoughts that was in my head wasn't present thoughts. It was negative thoughts I had from past trauma and past childhood that I chained to my soul and took it with me. So when I had that moment of epiphany, it was like, wait a minute, I'm seeing everything all wrong. Yeah, my life is crazy right now, and I'm in this tornado and I'm crying, I'm sobbing,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm doing it. I'm making it. I'm pulling myself together after I fell. I'm falling down, and I'm getting back up, and I'm doing it. And for that, in that moment, it brought me a lot of encouragement, wisdom, a lot of wisdom, and a lot of empowerment. And that's how I literally how I survive. Like I said, life is not easy, so I have to challenge every thought that comes into my soul. It's like giving giving plant dirty water. It's not going to survive. So you have to keep on fueling yourself up with healthy things, healthy mindset, positivity, and that's what I have been doing now. Never giving up in face of adversity, and always telling myself I'm a winner.
Mm, mm. Wow. Mm. Yahne, my podcast is about encouraging, inspiring, and transforming. And this is probably my 142nd, 43rd podcast. About a year that I've been doing this. I've had some amazing guests, just like you, amazing ones who just exciting to talk to, uh, saying some great things for listeners of this podcast. Uh, so my question to you, is what would you say that would be encouraging, uh, inspiring, and transforming to someone who is struggling with self-love or trying to find, their life purpose, or they have endured some of the same things that you have endured, that you've talked about, abuse or whatever it may be. What would you say to them that would give, that would be encouraging, that would be inspiring, that would hopefully be transforming for them?
Yeah. So the only when you ask that question, I go back to my childhood. What would been what I wanted to hear when I went through that, and simply is you perfect just the way you are.
Mm,
I love you, and you're going to
okay.
be okay.
Okay.
I wanted someone to tell me that. You're imperfectly perfect.
Mm-hmm.
That's one of my coaching that I tell everyone that feels they need to be perfect. You're imperfectly perfect. And I love you just the way you are. And you're going to be okay. Your obstacles and your challenges doesn't define you. You
Mm,
define it by what you do next.
mm,
And that is for me the most powerful thing I can say. It sounds very simple, but we have
mm-hmm.
to know that you have control of your destiny and your reality, not your environment or how you perceive things based on your childhood. Your self-love doesn't come from your environment. It doesn't come externally. It comes internally. When you have to look yourself in the mirror, you have to be okay with who you are.
Mm,
And you have to be okay with all of it, your flaws and all. And for me, it took me a while to be okay with it because, I was ashamed for my past. But you have to give yourself self love because if you don't love yourself, you can't expect nobody else to.
mm,
And you're going to be okay regardless of what happens to you. And I want to say one more thing when it comes to self love and finding your purpose. Your story already existed before you was born. Only thing you have to do is walk through it and you're going to be fine.
mm,
All our stories, all our stories, each last one of us, we already made it to the end. That's the thing we have to keep focus on when we go through. It's like we already made it to the end. And if we didn't, what doesn't build us will make us well, it doesn't knock us down, it makes us stronger. And we have to keep those three things in mind. I love you. You're meant to be here. You're imperfectly perfect and you're going to be okay no matter what.
wow. What a powerful saying. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. Listeners, hang on for just a little while longer. A couple more questions that I want to ask Yahne, but I want to ask her first to share with listeners of this podcast how, how they can get more information on you. I do not know if you have a book, if you do, or your website. Just share with listeners of this podcast if about you and where they can get more information on you.
Absolutely. I have a website, YahneSneed.com. That's YAHNESNEED.com. I
Mhm.
have social media sites. Facebook is Phoenix by Yahne Sneed. Instagram and TikTok is Relentless Phoenix 00. The 00 is for the infinity sign, meaning that we always beginning, never ending. And I do have a book, a novel. It's called Manifest Your Canvas. It's on Amazon. It's called Manifest Your Canvas on Amazon. It's a self-help guide to manifesting your reality internally and externally in your environment, and a lot of tips and tricks on emotional resilience and how you can self-love, and build yourself a confidence and your empowerment skills. I have also my fingers in the book as well when it comes to my own journey is throughout the book as well. So you get, a firsthand encounter or some of the chapters of how I had to deal with it and things that I had to overcome. So it's definitely a good look. It's easy to
Okay.
read as well. So definitely check it out. And I do have a podcast coming up as well in the near future. So if you want to know more about that, you definitely go to my website, yahnesneed.com, and get a newsletter sent out to you when it's ready.
Thank you, Yana. You know, you're amazing. You really are.
Appreciate
You're amazing.
appreciate
It's
it.
all the information that you're sharing is just powerful for listeners of this podcast. As we ask you just a couple more questions, how do you balance your personal growth and self improvement with self acceptance and self love? You know, you've been talking a lot about this. So, how do you balance it?
Yeah, my self-improvement comes daily.
Okay.
We have to understand that each day we're growing. And we're not going to be the same as we was yesterday. And that is and I like I said before, I hold grace when it comes to my self-development and trying to balance that out with my work-life balance. It's
Hmm.
I learn every day and I don't take for granted me waking up because someone didn't make it yesterday. So this was an opportunity for me to really tone in and learn as much as I can so I can give it back to someone else because we don't speak about what we go through a lot. So my self-development is basically being mature in my wisdom, being mature in my wisdom so I can give it to someone else in a healthy manner. And also just being productive and wanting to be better and being open-minded to doing that and being okay with my reality shifting because sometimes our perspectives we may think is one way, but we learn something and then it's totally different than what we originally thought our whole life. So being open minded to the different things that comes in my view, and then also asking the universe to continuously bring adversity and challenges to me so I can face them so I can help someone else. That sounds crazy, but I do welcome the universe to do that because we need more individuals to be self-improved. We need to be self-improved, have a lot of self-improvement with ourselves. So
Mm.
I'm okay at this point to bringing adversity over so I can show someone, including my daughters, because I'm a mom, I have two kids. So including my daughters to show them what overcoming adversity is and leave out of victimhood and go to victorhood. So my self-improvement and my personal growth have all it has everything to do with really my spirituality and my enlightenment and keeping on track with that growth.
Well, all I can say is that your daughters are blessed to have you in their lives. You share such powerful uh, information that can be so impactful, and
Thank
I'm
you.
grateful to you for sharing on this podcast. Um, Let me ask you the last question as we bring this to a close. You talked about your spirituality earlier, you know, and how it played a role in your life. But I also want to know, how has it impacted your mental health and your well-being? Could you talk about that a little bit for us?
Yeah, so it impacted a lot. I don't have words to express it because it gives for me personally when I
Hmm.
get into this realm of negative thoughts and I have to challenge myself, it gets dark. It I have to be transparent. It gets dark when I go to that mode.
Hmm.
And my spirituality definitely was at a light at the end of the tunnel to help me navigate through that stuff.
Hmm.
I lean on it a lot these days, especially meditation, because spirituality and meditation works hand in hand. And in order for me to move through life, my mind has to be calm. And because there's a lot of things outside in this world I have to deal with, I wear many hats
Hmm.
that I have to deal with. And sometimes life can be convoluted, it can be a lot at one time. What spirituality do for me is calm me internally so I can face this chaotic world externally.
Hmm.
So when I meditate, I always lead every day with I'm grateful universe. Thank you for what you have done for me. some things that I haven't seen, please allow me to have the clarity to get it. And I speak to the universe like that. And we have, and I say we because the universe is energy. I can call it, if you will. Some call it God, but
Mhm.
I do speak to the universe, and I have that strong understanding with the universe and manifesting what I want out into the world because I want it back. So I'm gonna manifest my energy out so I can receive it back and be thankful for what comes back to me. You find grace in it, you find gratefulness in it, being full of greatness. I say I'm very grateful. Thank you for everything. I center myself to not be um what's the word I'm looking for, to
Mhm.
not be shallow. I'm very humble with everything that comes with me. So spirituality definitely muted some of the aggression I felt from my childhood. It muted some of negative thoughts that I had. And it's really a comforter because it's like get into yourself, love yourself more, be okay with those flaws that you have, and really promote excellence. And that's what I want to for everyone to see is that, you know, when you lean into your calm state and all your chakras in line and you meditating, you get an image back in your head of who you are. And it's like if you're looking in the mirror, but instead of looking in the mirror, you feel it on the inside of you, and
Mm.
you get that mirror back of who you are. And that moment for me, I appreciate when I had that moment because it when I see myself for who I am and not with how the outside world looks like, I love myself even more because it's like, dang, you survived. You could have said you're this or you're that because of your life circumstances. But since I'm looking so internally inside of me, I can come to terms with what happened to me. And that helps me mentally to be okay with any confusion that I have, any doubt, any identity crisis that I had, and just stay in tune with right now. And I mentioned that earlier. It's very important for me to stay in right now in my
Mhm.
because mentally we can get in this tornado of this, that,
Mm.
left, right, every way center, but right now. And
Mm.
that spirituality is like, hey, take a moment,
I hear
breathe,
you. I hear
woosah,
you.
meditate.
Mm.
All right, calm down, relax yourself. You're okay.
Okay.
Just take a moment, and
Wow.
then that's when I can definitely soar and see me becoming bigger right in front of my eyes because I'm toning into myself and not being distracted with what I see outside.
Awesome. Mm. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for just sharing today.
You're
Uh,
welcome.
and there you have it. Yahne Sneed, who says her motto is, it's not what they tell you, it's what you tell yourself. What an awesome guest we've had. And until next time, peace and blessings be with each of you.